Hello and welcome to the Hustle Over Everything podcast. This is the podcast where we receive stories, tips, and strategies from entrepreneurs who've done it to help you grow your business and take yourself to the next level as a person. You can find us on Instagram at 247hustler. That's at 247hustler. Later on the podcast today, we have Jerome Robinson, aka the Heartbreak Chef. You can find him on Instagram at the Heartbreak Chef. And real quick, guys, I just want to let you guys know today there'll be no business tip of the week or Hustler Nation. We actually lost the podcast intro. I know. But it happens, and the ball keeps moving. The show goes on. So we're going to hop straight into the podcast for you today. And honestly, this story is great. Jerome opened 1 week, like 10 days really, before COVID-19 hit. And he's been able to sustain himself through the use of social media. And this is overall grind. So I'm excited to share the story with you guys. And let's jump right in. Peace. Hey, what's up, guys? To support this show for free, here are some main options. If you're on Apple, make sure you rate and write a review of our podcast. This makes a huge difference and helps support the show. If you're on Spotify, follow us. If you're on Google Play, hit subscribe and auto-download so you'll be notified and have a fresh pod ready to go when we drop. Lastly, make sure you share the podcast on Instagram or whichever social platform you use and tag us. On Twitter, we're at 247hustlers. On Instagram, we're at 247hustler. And on Facebook, we're Hustle Over Everything. And now, guys, gotta pay attention to this point. We just dropped a new newsletter. It's called The Underrated. It's a weekly newsletter that breaks down untold stories that highlight game-changing business strategies that shape our sports, music, and culture. It drops once a week on Mondays, early in the morning, to prep you for the week. So subscribe to that, and we'll see you in the pod. All right, Jerome, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys?
I'm aboard, man. How you doing today?
Not bad. How you guys doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm not fantastic, but I'm good.
Yeah, man. Me too, man. I'm blessed. Another day at the job today. You know, had a little rough patch, but we keep it moving though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So to start the pod off, firstly, thank you for hopping on. I really appreciate you. I'm excited to jump into these questions. To start off, I want to start for the icebreaker, because there's two things that's come up in the world that I wanted to get your opinion on.
Okay.
One, chicken and waffles, or macaroni pie for a snack. For a snack.
For a snack?
A warm up, man. It's a layup line.
Exactly.
Macaroni pie. First, if you're going for a snack, and macaroni and pie.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Why would you choose that?
Like I said, it's a snack. It's a good starter. Like you're just warming up. Chicken and waffles is really heavy, and you just want to start off small and then work your way up. Chicken and waffles is the main meal. Like it can't be the starter.
Yeah, that's the main event.
Yeah,
I always like going for calamari, man. Calamari is my shit, man. Like I always, wherever we go to a restaurant, it's a must. It's a must. And what disappoints me a lot of the time is their calamari portions are so small.
Yeah.
And then they charge you like an arm and a leg for calamari, man. I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Are you getting it deep fried? You getting the breaded deep fried calamari?
Yeah, of course.
With some places like to just grill it.
Yeah, I'm just like, come on, man, really?
I'll grill it at home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nah.
I go to a restaurant, you got to get it fried.
Exactly. 100%. All right. I have a second one for you as well. Now, have you heard of the True restaurant or the True kitchen situation more so?
No, I haven't.
All right. Oh, and how about you?
Haven't, man. Enlighten us.
I'll bring it up to speed. All right. So basically, there's a restaurant, and I think in Dallas. It's called the True Kitchen, and they have recently gone viral because a gentleman has essentially cussed out his customers.
Yes, I seen that.
Oh, I saw that. I don't want to ruin your story, but go on. I think I know what you're leading up to.
Yeah,
exactly. So in the video that went viral, he walks up and says, I don't want to, I'm paraphrasing, of course, this is a place of business. there should be no twerking. If you want to twerk, you can get the fuck out. I'm quoting him, you know. And this is for my people. And you know, this literally cusses out not just a table, but a group of women.
Yeah.
So what did you think about that? I know you might have seen it on the timeline. I'm curious to get your guys' opinions.
You want to go first, or
let's go? And you up to
or
bat
Jerome?
first. Yeah. You go. Let's go.
Man, I think he's right, man. I think first of all, you're in an establishment, right? You're in someone's property. You're there to eat, to mingle and whatever, and take your food. Why would you be twerking in someone's place, right? And I think the thing is, I just saw him yelling, so I didn't even get to see the girls. But I'm sure, like, I'm assuming they're black women, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And this is like a black man who owns the restaurant, right?
Yep.
I think for him, he's trying to uphold himself to like a standard that he doesn't want patrons who eat at the restaurant to think that this is a reflection of him. And by allowing that type of behavior to happen in his restaurant, it looks like he's condoning it and he accepts it, which doesn't really it's tasteless. If you're a customer who you're watching, it's like, man, I'm eating here and people are just twerking. Like, what kind of business are you running? So I agree with him for taking matters into his own hands and saying that and saying the stuff he said. I'm just saying you can't go into someone's business and do that. As they say, you can't go into someone's house and move the furniture, right? So just act accordingly, eat and move respectfully.
All right, Jerome. That's on you. I want to know what you think.
I agree with Owen 100%. I think I know what he was trying to do, like as being a black business owner and, you know, having there's a certain stereotype when it comes to those things with black customers and things like that. And I think he was just trying to show them, like, you know, like you're in a place of business, you're in an establishment, like carry yourself respectfully. I think it was more not just the twerking part. I think he was just trying to send a message about, you know, carry yourself respectfully. Me as a business owner, I'm all for, you know, people coming in my establishment and I want them to have fun. I want them to be themselves. I'm not trying to, you know, like tell people what they can and can't do. But like Owen said, and like the guy was saying, I think there is a certain level of professionalism. You don't want to get out of hand, and, you know, your business is represented by the type of clientele that you have come in constantly and things like that. And I just think he just didn't want that message coming across. I know he took a lot of heat for it too, by other people and things like that. But like at the end of the day, like he has the right to say what he wants to allow and what he doesn't want to allow in his business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. He definitely has the right to say and say what he wants when he does not want in his business. I have a few things I want to say about that. Okay, so I think his approach to it was completely wrong. For starters, yelling at a group of women, not even just a table, a group of women, of black women, this is not right. You know what I'm saying? Would he have done that if there was white women? I'm assuming not. I think as well, the way he tried to speak and enunciate his words was uncalled for. You know, 100%. Telling somebody to get the fuck out of the restaurant, you know, paraphrasing, you know, I think was super uncalled for. And to have that kind of manner doesn't look like the type of restaurant that someone who has the I guess aesthetic that he wants to come in the restaurant would want either way. You know, I think if he was actually wants that, he should have been like, all right, what am I doing to cause people to do that? You know what I'm saying? Because in the video, I'm seeing that you guys watch it, and I'll link it in the description below for you guys to check out. People, the menu itself was Douce slushies, like Henny slushies. You know what I'm saying? And there was like a DJ with music, and people getting like faded there, right? So when you're creating that atmosphere for people, and then the result of the atmosphere is twerking, then you got to look at yourself and think of, all right, what am I doing to cause this? You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't seem like he had that type of force. That he was just pushing it all onto the woman and not onto himself at all. You know. Also, one thing that I remember from interviewing Yara Kamal was that she was designing yoga mats, which is totally irrelevant, but trust me, I'll tie it back in. Yeah. She was designing yoga mats for her customers, right? And at first she was making them herself, where she designed like a specific like grade school or kindergarten, I believe, type of feel, and none of them were selling. And she got someone else to design like one or two, and then some started selling and some started not selling. And she realized that what she was doing was not working for her audience. But then what was actually working was something completely different, right?
Mhm.
So if that is what's working with your audience, you gotta like think about what you're attracting, what the business and the business that you're doing, how that will affect your audience. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if like how Viagra started wasn't from a person trying to solve that problem. It was actually like a heart problem with men, and that was a byproduct of that. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So he has to look at, hey, these are byproducts of what I'm doing. So is this something that, of course, he doesn't want? But if this is causing this, why is that happening? And if not, I gotta adjust my restaurant to make it more suitable. Is Megan the Stallion the right restaurant for non-twerking?
Mhm.
I don't think so. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Maybe
Yeah.
classical music will make more sense.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of Douce, you have, wine glasses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where he kind of came off like, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, well, to add to what you're saying too, like also like he was like basically you can tell he wanted a certain level of professionalism, like you're saying, like, if you're gonna play music, that people are gonna dance. Like if you're gonna put that atmosphere, people are gonna go there. But also, if you're a business owner and you want a certain level of professionalism, you have to also speak to your clients, right or wrong, with a certain level of professionalism as well, right? So I understand both sides of it, but like you guys were saying, like telling them to get the fuck out or whatever it is, like that's not being professional. That's not holding yourself to a higher standard. Like even if you don't agree with a customer or a guest or whatever, you have to put yourself you got to rise above that and be a little
Yeah.
more professional. And I'm not saying you always have to agree or have to
Definitely.
take rude behavior and whatever, but when you're the one kind of starting the rude behavior or whatever, when they were just doing what they were doing, they were having fun, whatever it is, you got to be held accountable for that as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, Alex, I completely agree, man. And I think you brought up the point of him raising his voice, and I completely just like looked over that, and I was looking at the principle of the message he was saying. But you're right, man. As a man too, you're yelling at a group of women. I think I grew up with three sisters, and one of the things I learned early is fundamentally you just never raise your voice at women just because they're already at a disadvantage. They already don't feel safe around women in general, around men in general. So that was just uncalled for. You're right, man. And I completely agree with you on that part. It's just A, you're a business owner. B, you're raising your voice at a group of women. Like, what do you think they're gonna do to you? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're puffing your chest at group of this is not man to man, where you're yelling and you don't want to get into combat. These are women chilling and you're raising your voice. Yeah, you're right, man. That was just that was not a good look on his part at all.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I only seen snippets of the video. I didn't know that there was like a higher DJ. I didn't see the menu. I just saw a quick clip of all this. But like you're saying, like if you're gonna put items like that on your menu, you're gonna have like a DJ. Like you obviously want to create an atmosphere where people are gonna have fun and people are gonna dance. Like no
Yeah,
matter where
that's
you do
true.
that, like you could put on church gospel music and at church and people are gonna dance. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just the way it
Facts.
is. Like
It's the
so I don't know.
culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But with that being said, man, let's hop into you, man. So tell us about how you got started with being a chef, man. What was like the first actually before you even get there, what part of the city are you from?
Toronto and Brampton.
Hey, Brampton in the building.
I love B-Town, man. I know it gets a bad rap, but it's a nice
Yeah, it,
city.
it does, bro. I love Brampton, man. Brampton's a great place. A lot
Yeah,
of great memories there.
facts.
All right, so now let's talk about it. How'd you get into cooking?
So basically, when I was about uh, 13, I guess back then you could work at 13, 14.
Mhm.
My mom was just like, it's time for you to get a job. She was in sort of like the restaurant industry aspect of it, and one of the easiest jobs to start off with is washing dishes.
Mhm.
So I used to bus to this place called Pat Mario's in near the airport every morning at like 6 a.m. And I just started washing dishes and kind of like just stuck with it. It was easy to do dishes and still like play basketball on the weekends and hang out with my friends. Like it was a job that you can still, you know, it didn't consume your life and make some extra money. So I started like that.
You played ball too, eh?
Yeah, back a long time ago, but way back in the day.
Back in the day when you had like proper knees and you could just jump out of
Yeah, I
it.
can't do it. I tried to run up and down with these young kids now. I can't do it.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
runs,
so
man.
too many
I
chicken
hear you.
sandwiches.
They asking the score from like point three. Like, what score is it?
Yeah.
What's the score?
Yeah, exactly.
I think when, as you get older, man, you just gotta like hone your shot. That's the only way
Yeah,
you're staying on the
yeah,
court.
yeah. I'm good for like maybe 3 times up and down the court. Then I'll sit down for a break, get a sub, and get back in there.
That's
Yeah, I hear you,
hilarious,
man.
man. So now let's talk about what was your first taste of success? You know, no pun intended. With being a chef, was it at working at a specific restaurant? Was it any competition?
Well, what company that I worked for a couple years ago, they had about, it was a corporate company. They had about 80 to 90 restaurants nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years in a row, the restaurant that I ran the kitchen, we won highest sales and things like that. And that was kind of like the first big award that I felt like really proud of. Like with me and my team, like that was kind of it, because the rest of the places that I worked, they were smaller. They didn't have these big elaborate things. It was more just celebrating like within the restaurant team success and things like that. But this was more like on a bigger scale, and you know, it was a huge company, and you know, that really felt good, like getting that award with the rest of my restaurant.
Amazing, man.
And what was that moment you realized that okay, it's time for me to break out on my own?
So again, I worked at another corporate company, and we had a burger battle with all the chefs inside that company, and I didn't win. I felt I should have won, but I didn't win. But then um, the winner was to get some prize money, and then their burger was to go on every menu at the other restaurants. So I didn't win, but then the next day they told me that they put it on their social media, a picture of my burger, and it really started to blow up. And they're like, "This is like, we've never gotten this much attention from a post that we've made on any of our pages, and this and that." Um, and I asked them politely, "Well, take it off, because I didn't win, and you guys aren't crediting me with anything." So, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted me to help them with menu development and things like that, but they didn't kind of want to give me the recognition that I felt I deserved. So it was probably that point where I was like, you know what? If I don't do it for myself, I don't believe that anyone else is going to do it. So I quit my job and started a catering company.
So, question for you, Jerome.
Yep.
One of the things I always think about, I'm a big burger guy, right? Every time I go out somewhere, like I have to get a burger, I have to taste what the kind of burger is. And I've kind of come out to a couple principles that I think make a great burger. I just want to hear from you. To you, you've made hundreds of thousands of burgers throughout your career. What is it that makes a good burger to you? Like what elements of it that makes it stand out?
Well, you gotta have the fresh beef, like fresh beef. I'm not really a grill burger guy. I love flat top burgers. Flat top to me, I just love it. Real thin patty, kind of like a smash burger. That's kind of taking over Toronto right now. The smash burgers. You gotta have some type of different sauce, like whether it be like a mix of ketchup, you know, and mayonnaise. I'm a ketchup and mayonnaise guy, so I like a sauce, like a creamy mayo-based sauce. And the most underrated part of the burger is the bun. Like
I was waiting for you to say that.
People underestimate the power of the bun. Whenever I eat a burger or chicken sandwich, I always use Martin's potato rolls. I'm a huge Martin's guy. I love those buns. I'll take that to the grave. They're the best buns for any type of sandwich, burger, whatever it is. And yeah, and then condiments is just like, you know, I'm not like a big condiment guy or anything like that. I just like some lettuce. I'm a plain burger guy, but the bun, so put some cheese on there and a thin freshly ground beef press patty, and I'm good. That's all
Solid.
it takes.
Yeah, you know the thing about the bun, right? It's because it sticks to the roof of your tongue.
Yeah,
So the flavor that you're experiencing the most, like the baseline taste, is the bun
yeah,
taste. You know?
yeah,
So I always love those like buns which have they're yellow and they
yeah.
kind of have the sesame seed on it on top, and
Mhm.
they're kind of soft and they have like a little doughy to it, and it's
Yeah,
sweet, a little tangy sweet over there. Those are
yeah.
the
No,
best that make the best
it's
burgers, man.
important. People don't realize how important it is to the total sandwich. You know
Is
Yeah.
what
that
I
a
mean?
is that a brioche bun you're describing, Lauren?
I think it
No,
might be
brioche buns are good too. Like a lot of places use brioche buns and they use them well.
Mhm.
The potato roll is like I don't know. They don't not too many places sell them. You won't really find them in the grocery store or anything like that. But they're just this soft, like beautiful texture. They just like melt in your mouth. They're so good.
yeah.
Potato roll. All right, I gotta
Yeah,
look this up.
Martin's. It has to be a Martin's.
Martin's potato. That's the brand. Can you get that
Oh
off like
yeah,
Shout out to
Loblaws?
Martin's
yeah.
needs to sponsor me right now.
Yo, well,
Oh,
yeah, we gotta get you
100%,
a.
man. Martin's
Yo, I get you. I get you. Yeah, and people use it to make a desserts too, right? Those type of potato rolls, right?
Oh, they might. They might. I've
Dessert.
never. I have personally used it, but I'm sure you can.
And they make like those like, little mini burgers out of them too sometimes, or out of the potato
Yeah, they do.
rolls.
They have little slider buns and
These
stuff like that.
sliders,
They're
yeah. Oh,
delicious.
yeah. Delicious. All right, man. So let's talk about you leaving your job now, man. So how did you strategize leaving your job? Did you
Mhm.
create a catering business while you were working? Did you then have like a side gig? Or did you just like cold turkey, just like, nah, after this, I'm out?
Well, at first it kind of turned into, you know what, like I created like I didn't have a social media account. I didn't have an Instagram account or anything. So it
Mhm.
started me just trying to like spite my work, and I started posting my lunches. I created an Instagram account and I just started posting all my like lunches that I would make. Just to kind of spite them, to be like, look, you don't want to give me this recognition. I'm just going to do it on my own. So I started posting my lunches, and a lot of people started asking like, hey, like, where can I get that? And, you know, it looks delicious. Like I started getting a bit of a, not a huge following, but enough where people were asking about like the food and stuff like that. And I was like, I have a catering company. Like,
So you
what,
said you have a catering company even
yeah,
before it. Like,
I
yeah.
love I
So I
love
was
it.
like, you
I
I
know,
love,
love it.
yeah, that's
place
awesome.
place your orders and stuff like that. And then I was just like, you know what? Like I went to my sous chef and I was like, you know what? Like I'm gonna actually take this a little serious. I designed a little logo. I started putting on some hats and some sweaters, and people are like, what brand is that? Like I really like the logo. And I was like, oh, it's my catering company, my one that I didn't have yet, but I was still trying to push it because I know like through fashion and things like that, people will notice it more and ask questions. So I just
Yeah.
started like promoting it like that. And then I did start getting like some small like little orders and things like that. And just more people started just asking and asking. And then I built up the confidence enough where I was like, you know what, I can probably turn this into something. And I quit my job and I quit cold turkey. Not the greatest of plans at the time, but I did
Yeah.
what I had to do. No
That's
backup plan.
ballsy, man.
I was at that. I've been in corporate I was corporate cooking for a very long time. And I
Mhm.
think like if I don't do it now, I'm gonna get way too comfortable. And I just need to make that jump. And you know, I felt if it didn't work out, which I didn't anticipating it not working out, I'm still young enough and still whatever I can felt I could bounce back. And still like the restaurant industry, a lot of the times there's always jobs in demand. Like it's one of those places, like maybe not so much now, but it's one of those industries where people are always looking for help. So I just felt like if I the reward was better than the risk, was much greater than the risk type of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I hear you, man. The corporate grind can make you feel so comfortable, but it's like a false reality
It
because like
is.
if you die the next day, they're gonna put up an
Someone else
application
is going to
or
be in there.
exactly.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
man, I hear you 100%. And that feeling like you'll be in the workplace like oh like you feel like you're gonna explode almost like because
yeah,
you're so ready to leave, and it feels like I don't know, almost like soul sucking almost because you feel like you're not living up to your potential. Am I
yeah.
right?
No, no, for sure. Like my main thing was like, um, as a chef, like you're working like 70, 75 hours a week sometimes. And my thing was I was exhausted. I didn't really have a personal life. I wasn't getting a chance to spend time with family. And I'm like, these guys already have their millions of dollars. These guys up there, they deserve so. A lot of them work very hard for it, and I'm not taking that away. But when am I going to get my chance to? I'm helping someone live their dream. When am I going to get the chance to live mine?
You're building their equity.
Yeah, and if I'm doing that for somebody else, then I'm not living my dream, and I'm not taking the risk that I need to take and whatever. So that's what kind of did it for me.
Most definitely. All right, so now you're out cold turkey, like a soldier.
Out
you know
there.
what I'm saying?
Bullets flying at you, man.
Yeah.
Word. All right. So now, where do you go from here? Do you start this like going hard on social media to start a catering company up? Like, how did you try and grow it up?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I thought is like because you have people inquiring on social media, it doesn't necessarily translate into bookings. It doesn't translate into sales. And I learned that the hard way. Like I wasn't all these orders that I thought I was going to be getting right out the door and stuff like that. Like it didn't work like that. So I was pretty depressed about it in the first like couple months. I even thought about, going back and, working in the kitchen. And, I just got a lot of good advice from people around me and things like that. And just, like stick with it. And I ended up sticking with it. And another one of my college friends owned another restaurant. And he was like, yo, you got a good thing going. Why don't we partner up and do some things together? And they kind of gave me like a bit of like knowledge about running your own type of business. So I worked with them for like a year and got some good tutelage under them, and they helped me out with a lot of things, and we went from there.
What was that knowledge? Like, what was some of the learnings you took in that helps you get from not getting those sales to getting those sales?
Yeah. So basically, it's just you got to understand. Like I said, like if you don't own a business and you're not in there putting your own sweat equity into it, like it's easy. It was easy for me to be running another restaurant using someone else's money and things like that. I'm not going to say easy, but it's a lot harder when you're watching your own money and things like that and worrying about how you're going to pay your own bills. Like I knew I had a check coming in every 2 weeks. I knew I had a job. I got really comfortable with that. But when it's your own money on the line and your own livelihood on the line, you find yourself working. You'll see how hard you'll work. You know what I mean? To make sure that you can still pay your rent and, still put groceries on the table and things like that. And that was one of the things that they showed me. Like, this is like, we don't have anyone to rely on. Like when you are an entrepreneur and you're running your own restaurant or things like that, like it's you, like you're relying on yourself.
Die.
Yeah. So that's one of the main lessons I get. And, there's some good days and there's some great days and there's some really bad days, and you got to take it all. If you can't handle the bad days, then you're doing the wrong thing, because you got to find a way to get through it. Because not every night could be Friday night. You know what I mean?
Facts. Some days you're celebrating, some days you're mopping the floor.
Exactly. Yeah. And just to give us a timeline, right? So what year was this that you started and you were going through this startup phase and up to now?
So this was 2017.
2017, eh?
Yeah. Okay. So 2017, I think about like, I had my first pop-up launched my company November 4th, 2017.
Jeez. So it's only been about 3 years really since then.
Yeah.
And I know you have your own restaurant up and flourishing. All right. So, you leave your job, start your catering company now. How does it grow? Are you calling people hand to hand? Walk us through the growth phase of that.
So when I did my first pop-up, I started calling all the influencers in the city and things like that, like, family. I was just trying to get as much buzz as I could, because I wanted to launch on Uber Eats. Like it was never going to be a restaurant. It was going to more just be like through Uber Eats, kind of like a ghost kitchen type of thing. And I remember calling like a ton of like influencers and bloggers in the city, and not one of them returned like any of my calls or emails. And like, at the time, looking back now, like, a lot of them, why would they? Like I was not known. I didn't have any type of following, like, but I tried to reach out and no one really got back to me. So what I did was I just told all my friends and family, and then we had this pop-up, and it was like 10 times busier than we expected it to be. and it was like probably the most one of my, not probably the most exciting night of my like professional cooking career. It was just like the buzz was just crazy. And like when that day, like after that night, I was like, I realized like I can do this. Like this is something that I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And you know, regardless, I'm gonna stick with it. But like that gave me the confidence to be like, yeah, like I didn't get any outside help with promotion from, like I said, the influencers and bloggers, but you know, enough people cared to come out and wanted to try the product and support it. And that gave me the confidence to be like, yeah, like we're gonna push forward with this.
And that's one of the things about entrepreneurship, right? It's like sometimes you just need a sign, like a big sign of confidence. And Alex and I actually we were doing a sales call with like a prospective client we want to bring on for our other side of the business, Hustler's Card. And he said one thing at the end of the call. It's just like, what do you say? He's just like, I believe in you guys, right? And you know, we really believe in ourselves, right? You believe in yourself, Jerome, or else you would not even have started to begin with. But it's certain signs of confidence that someone gives you, like outside people you might not even know, and you've just met them, but they just get a glance at you and they say, I believe in you. It does big things for you. So
Yeah, for sure.
hard times, you just think back to those people, you I believe in you, and it just pushes you forward, and you just feel like you can do anything from that point.
For sure, 100%. And like I said, my friend who owns a restaurant, by the way, the restaurant's name is Bacon Nation.
Bacon Nation, well, Queen of Spadina.
Yeah, they're not there anymore. They're in Kensington though.
Oh, okay.
But he sat me down, and you know, even though we were friends, he sat me down, very business professional, and it's like, you got something really good here, man. I don't know how serious you're thinking about doing it, but like you can do this. And you know, that was kind of the push that I needed. And then after my pop-up was kind of the reassurance that I could do it and make it happen.
And what was your staple product that got people giving you a buzz?
At the time, we didn't really have any, like, we were just kind of like, I was just kind of doing like some crazy things, like just to kind of get like attention, like just bigger portions. But I felt it was all in the way, like the camera and stuff like that. And I realized once I started putting myself in the pictures and stuff like that, I started getting a lot more traction, just because I felt like if you're dealing with a product or a mom and pop's place or whatever, you want to see like who's behind it. Like I'm not a big corporation or anything like that. It's not McDonald's or whatever. Like it's a small business. So when you're dealing with small businesses, a lot of people want to know who they're dealing with. They feel they want to see the person's personality and, you know, and stuff like that. And I felt like through social media, I was able to do that, to show a bit of my personality and yet have a face to go with the product. So when we started, it was more just like, you know, kind of like big eye-popping things just to get people's attention. And then from there, I was just thinking, whatever, once I got their attention, we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Smart. And that's one thing I actually wanted to get into with how you grew so quickly on social media. So sounds like what you were doing was, you know, putting a personality out there. Like you said, you kind of just answered it. So to recap, you said put yourself out there personality wise. You mentioned it briefly. You said you use angles to try and like specifically have the sandwich in the front of the camera.
Yeah.
Like, go into a little bit, like, because I could tell you're being specific on that. Like, I know, like, there's some little hacks you were doing.
It's a key gem. That's what, you know, visually.
Yeah. So, like, if you're doing a picture or whatever, it has to be like, our people are just gonna scroll through it. Like, you know what I mean? Especially food. There's so many bloggers and so many things out there that take great, captivating pictures. Like, you gotta. I just had to make sure that I separated myself from everybody else, and the way I thought I could do that is not only have the food there, but you know, have me in the background, like you know, there, so people are seeing that, you know, it's me that's part of this brand, and you know, having some type of like clothing apparel with my logo on it or whatever. And then another important thing was the captions. You got to just put like some type of catchy caption. Like if you're going to try and go all out with the elaborate food and, you know, all that, I think you have to have a caption to follow it to just complete the whole thing. So 3-step process.
Smart. That's a big gem. Like, don't sleep on that. A lot of people will just like bypass that. If you're a restaurant, that's a big gem for you to grow your company during COVID. Because right now, everybody's on their phone. Everybody.
It's a visual business.
Yeah.
you know.
And it's the crazy thing about it is social, it's free. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's one of the things, like I never really used social media before and stuff like that. I didn't have my own business. I didn't really feel I needed it for that. But like, as I'm trying to grow my business, like I can tell when a big blogger posts like one of my food items, because my traction and traffic goes up and things like that. Like it actually works. And a lot of people don't know that it's a free tool that you guys can use like to grow your business and how important it is.
For sure. Let's stay here for a quick little second. Is there any like apps that you use? Anything that's really been helping you out? Any like analytics that you've been using to really help you like analyze and see what's working, what's not? Like let's dive a little bit deeper.
To be honest, I've never really used I use through Instagram. You can, like, my page is obviously a business page.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow like that, but I know when I post something, like I basically have two menus, and I know if I post something, like I use Google and stuff like that, but I know if I post something and I have people calling and asking for that one product and it's not on my regular menu, I know that's how I kind of gauge like my stories. Like if I have a post or a story that gets a lot of traction, I kind of know, okay, this day might be a little busier than the next day. I know if a large blog posts something or whatever, like I know it's going to be a busier weekend or things like that. So I kind of just follow like that. I don't really use the number cues and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people do, and I know a lot of them are super successful and help them out, but I more just kind of go with the flow of the day or the post or whatever it is.
No, that's big. I like what you said about using like a secret menu almost, right? Like so essentially you'll just post, and if someone hits you up to buy it, then you know that post works. And are you kind of like testing that out for your real menu? Is that kind of like how you're kind of running that?
So basically we have a menu on if you go to their website,
Mm-hmm.
we have a menu, and then if you walk in the store, there's another menu. So what people happens is people come in the store and they're like, is this the only menu? And then we say, no, there's another one, and we send them to the web page, and then there's another menu that they can choose off of. On Uber, there's a secret menu item, and people obviously want to know what the secret menu item is, so we send them to the Instagram page to find out what the secret menu item is, and then through that they can see all our other stuff and things like that.
Genius.
Awesome.
Big gem. Don't sleep on that one.
That's strategy.
Strategy.
There should be like business school strategy for restaurateurs, man.
Word. All right. So let's jump into it now, back into your story. So you have the successful pop-up and you're starting and you go back from pop-up to catering?
Yeah. So it was still just catering.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about catering is it varies by season. So it just so happened that at that point after the pop-up, I was hitting the winter months. So there's a couple Christmas parties here and there. If you're not a big company, you're not going to get a lot of bookings so fast. So anyone who's worked in the restaurant industry knows that after Christmas, from January, February to March, are basically the three slowest months in the industry. It's cold. It's people don't have a lot of money because Christmas and things like that. So the next 3 months for me were pretty rough. Like after that. And that's kind of when I was like questioning myself, like, you know what, is this kind of worth it? Like I was on such a high from the pop-up to go to such a low right after was really tough. And then luckily we bounced into the summer events and things like that, and we were able to do a lot of summer festivals starting in like May, June, July. And for a lot of businesses, that's like a very lucrative part of the year. A lot of them rely on summer, like patios are open, there's tons of festivals, you can do food trucks, you can do a lot of things in the summer that you can't do in the winter. So luckily it wasn't that long of a time where I was able to get into some summer stuff and kind of like get back that love and excitement that I kind of lost during the winter months.
I hear you. Awesome, man. So what's like the usual profit margins like with running a business? Is it like 3 times, 2 times? Like what's kind of like the business behind running a restaurant? Let's get into that.
They're very slim. Like now, especially now, like a lot of people think that when you open your doors, like you know, even if you're busy, like a lot of people think, oh my god, this place must be raking in the money, it's so great, it's so like you know, they're laughing, but at the end of the day, you have rent, you have employees, you have food, you have all these other little things that pop up like that you don't think when you're opening a restaurant: phone bill, water, electricity, internet, you know, insurance. Like insurance was a big one for me because I was like, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. You have to pay insurance, and insurance is expensive. You know what I mean? So these are little things like, and when you look at it on paper, when you set it in your mind, you're like, oh, if I just sell this much, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna be making a killing. But then all these other stuff start popping up, and you know, repairs, things like that. Like you gotta take all that in consideration. So even the busy restaurants, like you're not rolling in gold like Scrooge McDuck. You know what I mean? Like it's still a grind, and you know, the profit margins are pretty slim. But you know, in the summertime, if you're doing like different things and have different sources of income, like I know catering companies that do catering, they do food trucks, they do festivals, and they're doing really well. So it all just depends on how many streams of revenue that you're trying to run with.
Yeah, so break that down. So you kind of diversify through multiple lenses. So all right, so you said there's a restaurant, there's a food truck, and then there's a catering business. What other like revenue streams can you create through a restaurant?
Um, you can do like pop-ups here and there, like a big thing that a lot of restaurants were doing right now, and I thought it was smart, and it became a huge trend in Toronto especially. They were teaming up with other bars that don't really want to run a kitchen or anything like that, so they would take their company and kind of move it into a bar and partner with a bar, and then you can kind of split the rent and different things, and now the bar has a great restaurant coming in and doing food, but they can also make their money off liquor, and they don't have to worry about the expenses in the kitchen. They don't have to worry about hiring anybody to run the kitchen, and then you just go like that. Like, and that company that goes in there is not taking the risk of opening up a brick and mortar and things like that. So it's kind of like a win-win for everybody. So I think like that's a really smart way to do it. I did that with a bar called Mum's the Word. They would hire me to come in and do their catering and for private parties, and they would still have their part with the alcohol and stuff like that. But I think that's one of the big ways to do it right now, and one of the smartest ways.
That's genius. It's almost like house hacking for restaurants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And if you have the right partnership, like it's a great thing, and you know, like you're not on the hook for all of it. Like both of you like can kind of work together and figure out ways where it can benefit both of you. So I like that. I like that strategy personally.
And early on, like when you're coming up, right, as you quit your job, talk about like raising like the funds to like launch your business. For you know, how did you navigate that whole process? Like, were you planning, did you save some money up for this big launch, or was it just kind of, hey, take it at, yeah, talk about that. How was that like for
So
you?
like I said, I kind of quit the job cold turkey. So I didn't have like a fund to like be like, hey, this is gonna be my startup money. I kind of just use what I had. I didn't have like months and months of rent put away. I didn't have like I didn't prepare myself properly. Like if I could go back and do it now, there would be a lot of things that I would have done a little different in terms of planning, at least, to make it a lot, so make that first year a lot easier for me. And now looking back, like there is a lot of things that I could have done to make it easier, and you know, probably would have been, you know, had things rolling a lot sooner. But you can't really look back and say that it's a learning experience. And like anybody that I have, like people that used to work for me and that have come to me and have said, you know, like I'm gonna quit my job and start a catering company. And I'm like, you know what? I'll never knock anybody for trying to chase their dreams, but I always tell them, just make sure you have some type of backup plan. Make sure you don't have to do it all at once. You can gradually do it, but just make sure you have like that bit of money saved or whatever, because you're not super busy right out the gate. It doesn't work like that. At least for me, it didn't. Like you have to anticipate the slow periods and stuff like that when you're not getting a set check coming in, and you have to prepare for that. And I didn't necessarily prepare for that, but now I look back and I can give other people advice on things like that.
That's a fact. All right. Now, continuing with your business now, um, I'm curious because you said that you almost made a ghost kitchen before. So how come you didn't make one again? Because your business now is aimed for takeout, right?
Yeah.
So seeing that with ghost kitchens, you can minimize the rent. What was the decision to go back into a brick and mortar store?
So when I it wasn't actually like this wasn't like a long like when we opened up the Heartbreak Chef, like the way it happened is we kind of stumbled upon a location that we were able to, get in there, and we wanted it more for catering, because we were doing a lot of office catering, and the kitchen that we were working out of was a great kitchen, great partnership. It was just a little small, so it made it really difficult. And if I really wanted to take the catering to the next level, I just needed a bit more space. So originally, I just wanted to find a kitchen where I can do catering that was large enough to do these big office parties and things like that. And then it just so happened that the kitchen that I stumbled upon had a storefront that wasn't being used. So I just said, you know what, there was a lot of people asking, like, when can we get your food without booking you for catering? Because not everybody's going to book you for a 20, 30, 40 person event. Sometimes people just want to walk by and grab something smaller and things like that. So um we I thought about it, and I thought that now was the time, and we were able to open up a brick and mortar.
Awesome. And how'd it go?
So we had a great opening. The launch was really good. um just like any business new to the neighborhood, you got to build that clientele, you got to build that trust. We were in Parkdale, and anybody that knows Parkdale knows that's like an actual like community. Like the people stand together, and it's a great neighborhood. I lived there for a very long time, and I know the people, and if you piss them off or you upset them or whatever, your business isn't going to survive there, like unlike any other place in the city. So our main thing was just to ingratiate ourselves with the people in Parkdale, and have them come in and have them try us out. And it was a process. The first week, people were coming in just to say hi and welcome me to the neighborhood, and then right after that, COVID hit, so the lockdown hit, and we weren't really able to have like seating, and a lot of people didn't want to go out. Understandably, no one knew anything about it, so it was a little rough, like the first like couple weeks, especially with the lockdown.
So now, how did you bounce back?
Yeah.
We just kept on grinding on social media and things like that, and kept on pushing. And then as the months went by in the summertime, people started feeling a little more comfortable with going out. We started building up a bigger following. People started driving from out of the city, like some people from as far as Ottawa I've had, Windsor, places like that are driving up now just to say, like, we just drove all the way here just to try your food, and
Nice.
things like that. So that meant that, like, that sign right there was like, okay, like, like people still want this product, and you got to keep on pushing. And even there's a lot of places that aren't even fortunate enough to be able to open their doors right now, and you're lucky enough to be able to do that. So if I'm put in a position where I'm still allowed to try and have my business succeed, I need to try and do everything I can to do that, because there's a lot of places that didn't get that opportunity.
That's a fact. So, what advice could you give to other entrepreneurs in the restaurant industry that are going through it with COVID-19? Like, I feel like a lot of people now are kind of switching to your model of having what am I saying? Like,
It is the model.
it is the model now. They
That's
don't
the
have
standard.
a choice. Exactly. So, like, what advice could you give them for adapting to that standard now?
Yeah, like there's certain things that, like, I would just say, like, right now, like, if you're not on social media, and it's not easy for everybody. I know there's a lot of places that have been there for like 60, 70 years that don't use social media. They just rely on, their regulars and stuff coming in. But right now, my advice based on my experience is you just got to keep on pushing the social media. Just try and grind through this. I know how difficult it is, and I know how easy it is. It's a lot easier said than done. But you just got to keep on grinding, and just let people know that you're still there and you're still fighting. Because I got a lot of support of people just coming out and saying, hey, we don't really know much about you, but we just want to support. Like there are people out there that just want to support in the neighborhood and things like that. People don't want to see these little businesses shut down. They don't want to walk in their neighborhood and see a bunch of like boarded up windows and things like that. They want to support. So, you know, just be appreciative of those people that want to support and just keep on grinding. Like as hard as it is, you just got to keep on fighting. And if people do choose that it's not, you know, worth it anymore or whatever, I would never knock that either, because, you know, this is people's livelihood we're dealing with right now. So it's the reality. And just because you close down or whatever it is, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that you succeeded. Like, we're in unprecedented times. No one planned for this, and you know, it's shitty for everybody. So I just, like, my heart goes out to the small businesses that can open, not just restaurants, like the small places that can open. Like, I got a couple places in my right around, like all in the same little spot, a little bar that can open, that was always busy, a shoe store across the street that can open, you know what I mean, another shoe store beside me that can open, and you know, a salon like right across the street. Like, there's a lot of businesses going through it, but you just got to try and push through it.
Speaking about like the current status that we're in right now, what are some industry practices that you're gonna start, like, that you're noticing right now that are gonna like that have shifted, that are gonna like change forever? So things were different before COVID happens. What are some stuff that you've seen fundamentally change the restaurant business that like we were doing that we thought was normal that completely just made it obsolete after this year?
Yeah, well, like, one is the dining in for sure. Like, a lot of the big restaurants that, you know, the 100 seats, the 50 seats, the 60 seats, a lot of them I think are feeling it right now. And they a lot of the finer dining restaurants, I think, are going to more of a compact takeout menu. I think that's going to be a thing for a while. I think having full restaurants inside with tons of people, I think that's something that you're not going to see for a while. The patios, restaurants are being very creative with the way they're doing their patios and things like that, which I commend, because, you know, you got to adapt. But I think the dining in, which is a big source of revenue for a lot of places, especially if you're doing things like steak and oysters and things like that, those things are harder to do for takeout and, you know, like Uber Eats, like things like that. Like, those are the things that I think those are the restaurants that are going to have the most challenging part of adapting. But a lot of them that I know are doing that, and they're doing a really good job. And most of them are being safe about it and, you know, following the protocols. There's just a couple that are kind of giving the restaurant industry a bad name, but for the most part, a lot of them are doing it.
Yeah.
It's tough. This is a little bit off topic, but I'm curious to see if you find a solution, man. Because with ordering online, one thing that I found is, you know, the food just gets so soggy. You know what I'm saying? And like chicken and waffles, for instance, I have ordered your chicken and waffles, and I can't wait to try it. So one thing that's happened is that a lot of times ordering waffles can be tough because
when they arrive and you see that, like, they kind of like the watery, and then it makes it looks dampy. It turns white a little bit on the edges. You know what I'm saying?
You know, and it goes from waffle to sponge, and you're like, oh my god. You know, it's heartbreaking. No pun intended. I swear to God.
Get out the Tums,
I didn't even do that. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because like chicken and waffles was one of the things that we have on our main menu, but we took it off delivery. We're like, you know what? We can't, like, it's not that we're getting complaints, but I know, like, I don't want to take away from the product just like to send it out or make a bit of a profit. Like, I know chicken and waffles is one of those things, like, you kind of got to eat it right away. Like, so
fresh.
Exactly. And even sometimes that's a struggle with our sandwiches, because what people don't understand is when they order from Uber and these other apps and DoorDash, and I'm not going to shit on them. They help businesses. I'll shit on the rates that they take.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
You know what I mean? Like, they do take a lot, but also, like, especially in a time like this, a lot of people don't feel comfortable of going out and going into the restaurant, and that's understandable. We're in a pandemic. But also, what a lot of people don't realize is, like, when the food is ordered, it all depends on the driver. Like, the driver can pick up, he can, you know, go here, he can go there, Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like you're ordering it and then we have our own drivers that are leaving the restaurant right away and bringing it straight to your door. You know what I mean? And that's, I think when people do order from Uber and things like that, you got to understand as well, hey, this isn't going to taste the same as if I went in there and ordered it and ate. Like I know that when I order Uber, like if something's cold, it's kind of what I signed up for, because you know it doesn't leave the restaurant right away or anything like that. So it is a bit of a challenge trying to find that fine line of, you know, because once you make that food and you hit ready, it's not always on you anymore.
Yeah,
Like you tried to do your part, but now it's more depending on someone else coming in and taking care of the rest of that order for you.
for sure. And that someone else can be horrible, man. I've had some horror stories.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't.
And
With the Uber man?
Oh my God. Listen, I don't know if you want to get into it because it's so crazy that I'm just like, wow, that really just happened. But
yeah, and we've gotten complaints on things that, you know, that drivers have done, like you know what I mean, and things like that. Like, you know, you just gotta accept they're a big company, and you know
they
they're
got the traffic.
yeah, they're helping keeping these small companies afloat to a certain extent, and you know it's extra income for these small businesses. So I think to some extent we do still need them, but I think there are a lot of things that they can change with these delivery apps as well.
So I'm curious, would you ever vertically integrate there and try to like, yo, just get a guy and get a van and be like, all right, you're gonna try and like
There was a lot of talks of that when we were in Parkdale. At the time, I just didn't feel that we had the reach to do that yet. I just didn't, because when you create something like that, it's a whole nother set of weight on your plate. You know what I mean? We were trying to just deal with being open and just trying to keep the lights on. But at the time, like looking to the future, that is definitely something that we're gonna look into, talking to a bunch of other restaurants in the area, and you know, even combining like that and just having people. And I know there's already places that are doing that, like creating
oh
their
yeah,
own delivery systems and things like that. Because, like I said, Uber takes a lot. They do take a lot. Like not just Uber, they all do.
yeah,
So if they can find a way to, and it's also cheaper to come in and get takeout. That's why you walk by and you see a lot of restaurants, they're like 15% off if you come in for takeout. Because even though it's 15% off, that's still a lot cheaper than what Uber takes from you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's if you can, like, and like I said, I would never knock someone for not wanting to come out, and if they don't feel safe, then you know, like I understand that completely. But if you feel comfortable enough and you live 2 minutes away or 5 minutes away, like I would say just pop into your local place and order from them takeout rather than order on Uber.
Most
So
definitely.
um I really want to get into this. You know, like so the city, you know, has shut down a lot of the businesses, small restaurateurs, even businesses in general. But what we're seeing a lot is like the big box stores open, such as Costco, Walmart, and all the et ceteras. And I know you know this story about Adamson's barbecue.
Yeah.
And you know, he's become like a polarizing guy in the news with just defying everything and opening his restaurant. What is your whole take on this? You know, when it happened, what were your initial reactions and how have they evolved ever since this story broke out?
So it's funny you say that because I've been following that story very closely.
Mhm.
That with the Adamson situation, like personally, that guy's not going to be my martyr. Like I don't think I don't think his intent. I don't know the guy personally.
Mhm.
I just don't think the motives are right behind it. I understand there's tons of other small businesses that are feeling it. And, you know, whether you believe one thing about COVID or the other thing, the point is there are people dying and people getting sick from it.
Mhm.
I'm not going to talk about my own opinions of it, whether I agree with the government shutting things down or stuff like that. I think it is a little extreme with some of it, like with so far with the Costco and things like that, like how you can cram thousands of people in there.
Yeah.
Two people can't go to the flower shop and buy flowers. That I don't agree with, but I'm also not going to argue with doctors and scientists about um, the seriousness of it. Like obviously I do believe it is a serious situation, and you know, as a restaurant, as a small business, we got to follow the protocols. Like what I think he's doing, I don't think he's helping small businesses. Like that's just my personal opinion. I know there's going to be tons of other people out there saying sheep and blah 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 and this and that. Like they can feel how they feel. I think it's more hurting it, because if it was about small businesses, the message got strained somewhere and it turned into an anti-mask headquarters. So now is it about small businesses, or is it about not wearing a mask, or is it about COVID's a hoax, or is it about 5G towers, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And from all the information that I've learned about him, like he wasn't going to shut down. Like his business was on his father's property. Like he's not like all this, I'm going to shut down and I can't pay my rent. Like we all know that's a lie. You're going to be fine. I rather it come from the woman across the street that can't sell her shoes or things like that. Like us restaurants, and I'm not saying it's not hard, but we're fortunate enough to still be able to do takeout. No one told him he can't run his business. No one told him that he had to shut his doors. Like other places, like the salon down the street that I talked to, like they have to shut their doors. They can't have people in there. So if you're gonna, I just think at somewhere along the line, the message got a little messed up, and I think it's done a lot more damage than good. And the fact that people are, chipping in thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for this, I think that's like that's appalling to me.
Crazy,
That's just that's just my opinion personally. But I'm not against, like I don't agree with all the decisions that the government's making with this stuff, and it's definitely hurting a lot of small businesses. But I'm also not here to argue science
Doctors,
and medicine with all these. I'm not in the hospitals risking my life and all those things as well. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't think that, if you wanted to open and make a stance and do it, like open your doors. But I think he could have done some social distancing. You know what I mean? Things like that. Like if you want to make your point, then make your point, open your doors, like take the fine. Like I get that you want to stand up for what you believe in, but you could have still did it without putting people at risk. So that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, and we've had conversations about this. I agree with you. The part that as a capitalist, as a person who believes in business and entrepreneurship, it just sucks seeing these big box stores get the benefit of the doubt. And the fact that they're essential, quote unquote, but then they're allowed to sell everything else on their catalog, right? They can sell the sofa.
No,
Well,
not anymore.
yeah, not anymore. But before like before Adam Skelly and everybody and all these guys called it out. If he didn't do that, if Adam didn't come out and say why are they allowed to stay open, I think these Costco's, the Walmarts would allow to be selling TVs, home theater systems, gardening, whatever, if that didn't happen. So I just don't agree with the fact that they were allowed to do that and be labeled as essential, while the businesses are right across the street selling decorations and etc., who were actually following protocols, like allowing 3 people only in the store, mask up, put hand sanitizer on. They're not closing, but then Walmart and Costco are selling the whole thing. That was my whole thing about it, which made me feel like, you know what, I kind of see what Adam's doing, and I kind of rated it at the time just because someone's taking a stand and is willing to like sacrifice like what they're trying to do, because he was kind of going against the big guys, the Goliaths, the Costco's. So he did kind of do some good by making them change the policy of, okay, close up everything else, only sell grocery items.
And that's the part I agree with. I do agree. I don't think that it's fair I don't think that you should be in Markham and then 2 minutes down the road that you can eat in Markham and then 2 minutes down the road you can't eat in Scarborough. Like I'm not saying that, all I'm saying is like, like let's be safe about it. Like even whether you agree with it or not, let's be safe about it. Because to be honest, this isn't going away anytime soon. Let's just follow the protocols. Like I do believe small business should be allowed to be open. Like I do believe that you should be able to go into a shoe store or a flower shop, or be able to get your hair done or whatever, as long as you're being safe. And my whole issue with this guy is he's saying that he's fighting for the small businesses, but it didn't seem like that, because it turned into a circus. It turned into an anti-mask protest. It turned into, all this other stuff. White nationalists, I'm not going to say supremacists. White nationalists are showing up and being welcomed with open arms. People are, like it just became something like, I think it just went away from the original point. And, if you want to open up and you want to make a stance, I felt he could have did that, but I also felt he could have did that by being safe with the masks and, I would have been more cool with that if it was like, here, we're gonna open. We don't care what the police say. We don't care what the government says. But you know what? Let's practice social distancing when you're in here. Let's do it properly, just like the way they had it before. That's just my, like I said, just my personal opinion.
Honestly,
Yeah, the optics of it looked bad with
The
the
optics look
white
bad. And
nationalists,
there's
anti-maskers.
you know what I mean? Like, you have like it, and that's what it turned into. Is it about letting small businesses open, or is it about anti-maskers and the whole thing is a hoax? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. Like, whether you believe it or not, I'm not debating that. But the point is, it's not going away. It's not going away for a good while. So
yeah,
you know, as long as you're allowed to open, and you know, keep your like, you should try and do it safely. Like, if we're and I'm not saying that I agree with businesses being shut down. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, if you have the chance, just do it properly and do it safely, because it does affect people, and you can get into the numbers and the percentages on, you know what I mean, it kills people this age and that age. I'm not here to debate that. Like, I just here to do my part. Like, and if I'm allowed to open, I'm gonna be grateful enough, and I'm gonna be whatever when there's other businesses that can't do that.
honestly. And in regards to businesses and Uber, man, I feel like the government should be subsidizing Uber. Like
1,000.
for the amount of, you know, the percentage that they're taking, that it's so much. It's like 40% sometimes. Like,
It's
when
like
I'm not
organized
arrested Uber,
crime, man.
exactly. To
Yeah.
it's like a you know, I forget the term for a few monopolies, but
Yeah, it is a monopoly, because Uber knows that a small business in this time isn't going to be like, fuck you guys, I don't want to use your service. So I'll tell you, I'll just explain quickly what happens. So they take their percentage of whatever, the margins are already slim to none, like as I was explaining to earlier. So they take that percentage. So what happens is, now, as a business owner, you have to raise your prices on your menu to try and make up for that extra money that they're taking. So what happens now is, a customer orders something and they're paying way more than they normally would pay. It gets to them, and now this customer, you've now pissed off a customer because they don't feel that it's worth that price. Where a lot of times it's hard, because you have to raise your prices as well just to make ends meet, or you might as well not use the app. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like a chain reaction. So now you have a pissed off customer saying that, you know, they got this cheeseburger for $16 and they don't feel it's worth $16, but they don't really understand that it's only $16 because you're just trying to make up for that margin that you're losing.
yeah, I completely agree. And then it's a cold food too, like on top of it, like yeah, for sure. But working towards wrapping up, man, you know, some of the things we covered was, you know, diving deep in social media. You know, and the platforms that run for people who are completely green is predominantly Instagram, correct me if I'm wrong, and TikTok as well.
I haven't been on TikTok, but
So it's only Instagram.
A lot of people are
IG.
saying TikTok, like, we should get on TikTok. So we're starting an account. The restaurant's gonna start an account.
Nice. So that's impressive, man. That's only Instagram that you're on, and that's been driving the traffic. That's been keeping you afloat. But personally, man, not to be an advisor, but you got to get out on more, because then once one Instagram's out, and you know, one button switches on Instagram,
Yeah,
then you know,
Even the
I
algorithm
agree.
change.
I agree.
exactly. Yeah. So for restaurants listening, man, some takeaways is, you gotta hop on social media, show your personality, show yourself, show you're human on social media. Not just pictures of the food, but pictures of you in the food, and have special menu items that are on Instagram or on the social media platform specifically, so you can measure how well it's actually doing by people purchasing and not just liking. And what else did we mention? Anything else? I don't want to. I'm gonna leave them with some you know, some tangible items to execute on. You know,
Don't quit your day job without a backup plan.
don't create a job without a backup plan. Partner with other businesses. One idea I had is, because there's still businesses open, but it's only for curbside delivery, right? So if you're to partner with a restaurant, I mean, not the restaurant, partner with like a clothing store, and say, hey, if you pay like $10 more, you get a free T-shirt or something like that. That could be something that's it's an idea, you know, to try and entice more customers to come to your shop and cross promote. And I think that's all I got. You know what I'm saying? Feel free. And you got anything? Jerome, you got anything?
No,
I
you pretty
think,
much summed it up. I agree.
yeah. I think with the
Awesome.
times that we're in, it's like you have options, but the options that do exist, it's like I think you got to go 10x on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are people that want to support. Like there are people, like there's tons of great neighborhoods in the city that want to support and want to see their business do well. But like we got to give them a reason to, like, you know what I mean? Like that means like don't just expect people to come out and support you because you've been there a long time. You got to make sure that your food standard and everything, your customer service is still at that level. Like because no one owes you anything. You know what I mean? So you just keep on pushing it, and then there are people that want to help you and spend their money, and they don't want to see you go belly up, and they want to make sure that you're doing well. And I've had tons of people come and say that to me, tons of great people and friendships and that I've made with customers and things like that, like just based off the fact that they want to see you do well. So
Facts. Where can people find you?
so basically we're 823 Dundas Street West. It's called the Heartbreak Chef. We're on Uber. We're on DoorDash. Those are the only two that we're on right now. And if you're outside of the city and you want to do some type of small office catering or things like that, you can hit us up as well, and we can make that happen as well. Individually boxed and very safe.
Awesome. Awesome. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the hustle is what you can't control. So control your grind and control your life. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen.
Hi, Jerome.
Hey, Jerome, there you go.
I like we didn't even say anything. We just kind of waited it.
I thought that was the outro, so I didn't want to interrupt it.
Yo, let's make that the new thing. How many people get it? All right. And that is Hustle of Everything, man. Peace.
Peace out, guys.
Thank you so much for listening. The conversation continues on our Instagram at 247hustler. We post very frequently. And be sure to check out our merch at hustleovereverything.co. We have some amazing sweaters, hats, mugs, and a lot more. Lastly, our Proud to Pay program is linked in the description below. Thank you so much for your support. Talk to you next Monday. Peace.